Hi, this is Boxing Chit Chat. This is Ben, and I've got Lauren Parker with me. How you doing today? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Just enjoying the sun. It's quite
Yeah,
rare out in March, so yeah, very well.
yeah,
Yourself?
yeah. It's nice weather in it. It's good at the moment.
Yeah,
First of all, before we get into the boxing, talk about your personal training a little bit and how you got into that.
personal training.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, that's my job alongside obviously the boxing that I love, and it works great with the boxing because I can sort of like manage my own hours and stuff. But yeah, I've always sort of been into the training side of things. I first started out really. I went to university. I wanted to be a PE teacher.
yeah,
And I studied for 3 years doing that. And then at the end of it, I decided that I'm not too sure if that was what I exactly wanted there and then, but because I was heavily into my boxing and the training side of things, I really wanted to try and use that and push that onto others and try and like install healthy lifestyle into like the younger generation or anybody that's struggling like with weight loss or anything like that. And then with my boxing as well, I use, I've done all my coaching badges too. So to be able to help youngsters or anybody really get into boxing and use boxing as a way of, creating that healthy lifestyle, then that was really what sort of took my interest, to be honest. So yeah, I love that side of it. I love both sides, the PT and the boxing. You're getting involved with some great people. Yeah, made some great friends along the way. So yeah.
yeah. And it keeps you motivated for your training as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, just being around good people all the time. I've got a really, really good client base now. I think anyone that does personal training can quite is quite demanding. Um, and there's one thing that I've done, which was like during the 2 years of like the COVID period. Before all of that, I was really, really working myself into the ground. But I've literally cut that workload in half now so that I can kind of balance the boxing and the personal training out. And yeah, it's so much better. I can really focus on each individual that a little bit more. I've got a little bit more in the tank when it comes to my own training, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, it's great. It's really good. It
What
keeps me
type of
motivated.
sorry? What type of workouts do you do with your clients? What type of stuff do they do? Like circuit training and things like that, or
Yeah, really, it kind of depends on their goal, to be honest. Everybody's different. I train a range of different people from, young kids, teenagers, through to, those mid-30s and even later 70s, that sort of thing. So again, it depends on the person and what they're after. But generally, a lot of them love the boxing. Like the young children that I train, they all love boxing, and they always want to get the gloves and pads on, hit the bags, that sort of thing. So I think they've come to the right person for that.
yeah,
But equally as well, like I really quite like CrossFit type training, and that sort of style. So we do a little bit of that. But yeah, like you said, like circuits and stuff. Then if someone wants to come in and they want to build, then that's fine. We'll work on strength. I've got all the facilities here to be able to help that person. So yeah, it just comes down to what they need really. That's what it's
yeah,
about as a PT, understanding what that client needs and what's the best route and approach to take to help them achieve that goal.
yeah. So, do you have any clients who looking to be boxers, or is it just fitness based?
Um, the youngsters that I train, I think they've all got the ability to be boxers and they've all expressed that they would like to potentially maybe compete. Um, but at this stage, they've not really taken those steps yet. I've got one guy, I'm going to name drop in. His name is Fergus Lowe,
Yeah,
and Archie, actually. His name's Archie, another guy that I train. And them two have done really well, really. They come to my classes, they do a little bit of one-to-one training with me, and they've took the approach to, go to the boxing club and get involved with the amateur side of stuff. So hopefully at some point they may compete. I'm not too sure because they do other stuff as well. They've got a bit of rugby going on, a bit of football. So it's kind of hard. It's one of those things where if you're going to do boxing, it needs to be a lifestyle. As I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, it's all or nothing with boxing.
yeah,
It's not good being good in lots of different things. You need to be good at that one thing to become a master of it. And I try and put that into them. But it's whether they want to take that on board and listen. But you know what? They do really well. They've learned, and I've trained them for like 2-3 years now, and it's great to see that progression from when they first started, couldn't even throw a jab, and now they're like moving nicely. They've got their own little skill set going on, and their own little flares, and yeah, I'm proud of them. It's good.
Yeah, that's good. That. And going back to you a little bit, how did you first get involved in boxing, and how old was you?
So it first sort of started when my dad used to take me to watch local kickboxing shows. And I think I must have been about 13 at the time. Yeah, they were like at local nightclubs and leisure centres, and I'd never really seen boxing before. When I was watching, it was almost like, oh wow, I'd love to give that a go. But I was always quite shy, so I never really jumped on it, or it never really took the steps at that time to sort of pursue it. But it wasn't until I was like, I think maybe 16, 17, I started showing a little bit more of an interest in it. And then that's when I first started off. I dabbled in a little bit of kickboxing, mainly just the training side of things, which was great. I literally loved that. I did that for about 2 years. And then a friend of mine, he said, why don't you come and try boxing? And it was one of those things, you know, where you're so into one thing and it's like, oh, I don't know, because I love this. But I was like, do you know what? I'll give it a go. And that's when I met my coach, my amateur coach, who's now my pro coach as well, Paul Day. And yeah, I fell in love with it from day one because he took me under his wing and, you know, he showed me, you know, you've got potential. If you stick at this, you know, you could achieve this, this and this in the amateurs and, you know, take part in this competition, that competition. And then, yeah, it kind of escalated from there and, you know, built some great bonds within the boxing. My second coach then come along, Paul Webber, who I'm heavily involved with as well. Yeah, and the journey's just kind of gone from there. Then went obviously changed and turned over to be a pro. At the time when I did that, I didn't know whether that was the best opportunity because I didn't really know too much about pro boxing, but there was a little bit of politics within the amateur side of things. You know, when I think England boxing split away and then they created a different thing, which is the alliance boxing.
Yeah.
And it kind of like left me with no competition. And I was like, well, do you know what? I've got real fire burning and I want to pursue my career. I want to achieve. And I'm not happy like to stop now, or I'm not happy to go back and do more kickboxing. I'm a boxer. So we looked into the pro side of things and was like, do you know what? It's worth giving it a go. And then since from that point, you've seen so many more women come through the ranks. And it's like, do you know what? This was meant to happen. So, yeah, everything happens for reasons. And I'm here now as a pro and hopefully big things to come.
Yeah, definitely. And how did you adapt from going to kickboxing to boxing? Was it an easy transition?
Yeah, it was a little while ago now, but do you know what? I never found it really hard. I think I've always naturally been that better boxer than kicking, maybe. So yeah, I mean, a couple of sessions in, I always thought going into the session, oh God, I'm going to start flurrying with the shots. And next thing, a kick's going to come in. But to be honest, you think it, but that never happens. And yeah, it was very quick to transition in. So yeah, it wasn't a problem for me.
Yeah, and going back to your amateurs, did you get much amateur fights in and
So
using
I
the
had
amateur?
I had about 20 amateurs, which was good. It was okay. I feel like I could have potentially done better in other areas. I feel like there was some decisions that maybe didn't go my way that I feel should have. Yeah, and as an amateur, I always kind of felt like I maybe fell a little bit short. You know, I'd go on all the England talent camps and stuff, and you know, I'd train at the GB setup, getting myself involved. And in my opinion, I felt like I'd really, you know, put myself out there and given it my best shot. And you know, not being big-headed, but I sometimes felt like I stood out a little bit compared to some of the others. You know, and I don't know. I don't know whether it's about, you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Maybe it was that element of it. I'm not too sure,
Yeah.
but yeah, I always felt like I fell short. I had the ability, but just needed those little opportunities to just push me on that little bit more. So yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of my amateur career. It's got me to where I am now, and without it, yeah, I wouldn't be sat here, you know, speaking positively and, you know, having like a good goal going forward. So yeah, it was successful. I won Haringey Box Cup. That was probably one of my proudest moments. You know, biggest. One of Europe's biggest boxing tournaments with some great names that get involved in that. And yeah, so to come away with a gold, I think that was 2015. Yeah, it was one of my proud moments, to be honest. It was good.
Yeah, that's great. That. And what are you planning on achieving in the pros?
As much as I can, really. I think it's all about stepping stones, isn't it? Like, and I like to take things step by step. You know, I've got my fight which I'm sure we'll probably talk about soon, but the end of April, so I'll get through that. And then, yeah, I'd really like to challenge for some bigger things, test myself, maybe go for some sort of title, Commonwealth title we have spoken about, my team and my management. So that could potentially be on the line. But yeah, for me as well, like I really want to, although I've been a pro and I've had 7 fights, I need to still push on and get the rounds behind me, because they've always been like 4-rounders, which for me is not good. Like I'm sparring 8 to 10 rounds quite comfortably in the gym. So for me, my next fight is going to be a 6-rounder, which I'm really pleased about. But again, I'll probably need maybe an 8-rounder and then go for the big time, the 10 rounds for a title fight. So I'm unsure how it's going to exactly pan out. But yeah, definitely I want to gain some belts along the line.
And when you mention belts as well, like women's boxing over the last few years has become more popular. But do you think like they should bring like the more titles in? Because I don't think they've got like the British title and things like that. I feel like they have in the men's boxing.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Totally agree. Yeah, and I think that sort of thing is what's going to help push women out there. When you've got more opportunities and more platforms and more things for women to aim for, I think that in itself is going to bring women through. But yeah, no, totally. I think they need, try and make it a little bit more equal to the guys. I think the women now, they're proving themselves and that we belong there, and we put up a good fight and it's good entertainment. So why not? Yeah, give us girls those opportunities. Yeah.
And what do you think about the rounds in women's boxing? Do you think that'll ever change to 3-minute rounds?
I think eventually it probably will change. And I think it will be good for the women. I know a lot of women want that. Personally, for me, either or, it doesn't bother me, because you adapt, don't you? But I think if the rounds are gonna increase, like the guys, then the pay needs to increase as well. We're not quite there yet with that, so that would be another thing. But yeah, I think eventually times are changing. We're seeing movement in the sport. So many more women coming through. Yeah, so hopefully one day it will become more equal, because I think we do deserve it.
And do you think you would be able to adapt to that if it ever happens?
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of those things, isn't it? Like I'm always in the gym, I'm always training. It's even little things like you're in the gym. When I look at myself going back, it would be like, oh, right, Loz, you're going to get in, you're going to do 4 rounds, you get out, have a rest, and then you'll have maybe another 2 rounds. But I look at myself now, I'm like, yeah, straight 10 rounds or whatever in the gym. And, whatever's put in front of you, or me, that the challenge that puts in front of me, I'll always rise to it, because you train for it. So as long as I've had the training and I'm prepared for it, then, yeah, any challenge I would be able to overcome.
And just talk about your fight as well at the 29th of April in Sheffield. Have you got an opponent name for that? And what atmosphere are you expecting on the night?
Yeah, so I haven't got an opponent yet. I think we're like just 5.5 weeks off, maybe, I think, from that. So I think the Unified Promotions, they're just finalising a few little things, sorting things out, and then the matchmaking process will start. But yeah, at this stage, I don't know yet. But like we just said, I'll rise to any challenge. So whoever's there, or whoever I'm asked to box, I'll be there raring to go.
Good stuff. And how's your promotional company been with you since the start of your career? Have you managed to get fights quite easily with them?
I mean, they're great. So I'm working with mainly Susanna Schofield and Richard Poxon. Great guys. This promotional company is brilliant. Unified Promotions. It's the main goal is to really try and push women in the sport. Yeah, which is great. It's what we all need. Yeah, I've been getting on great with them. In terms of the regularity of the fights, if I'm honest, I'd probably like it a little bit more regular, because my last fight was end of November. And I maybe would have liked one in between that one and the one that I'm about to have. I think because I'm always ticking over in the gym, it's getting that balance of getting your training right, maybe doing too much, or, so yeah, I'd maybe like it a little bit more regular. But do you know what? I'm just taking any opportunity that I can get. They're all out there to help and push us, and I'm very, very grateful for that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But this, like I said, like they're just starting, so maybe they're finding their feet a little bit with things, and once they've settled a little bit more, maybe that may start happening. I mean, I did get a message not so long ago, and they've sort of said when to expect the fights to be, and they've set their standards quite high. So hopefully that will be the case, and we'll get out a little bit more regular.
Yeah, and Richard Poxon, I think he's got experience in the previously with Atom Promotions as well, so he's knows a bit about the game as well, doesn't
he? Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not overly sure, but yeah, I have heard that, and like I say, if he has, he's very experienced, and it's great to be involved with those type of people.
And are you expecting any type of TV coverage anytime soon? Your fights?
Well, to be honest, like with Unified Promotion, they've signed a 6-fight TV deal. So all the fights will be televised. It will be on Sky Channel, Sporty Stuff TV. So it's all televised, which is great. Again, then obviously afterwards it'll be on YouTube for people to tune in. So again, they're doing great things and just setting that platform for us, because you've got, I think sometimes within boxing, you've got that chunk in the middle where you've got the high end, you've got your Matchroom, you've got your Frank Warren shows, and then you've got everything sort of underneath it, small hall shows, they might not really get a look in. So I think Unified Promotion, they're sort of that middle ground, to give you that platform, give you that TV deal, and to just be able to showcase what's about, because it's a big step up from that to say like the Matchroom shows. So the fact that they've got that little pathway is really handy, and it's been great for me.
And just talk about your sparring with Ebanie Bridges recently. She's got a world title fight coming up. How's that brought you on, and how was she as a person when you've been sparring?
Yeah, do you know what? So I first got chatting to Ebanie probably a few years ago now, and I remember the last time she was in the UK, and I really tried to fix up some sparring with her because I see that she was sort of travelling around. And I think one time she was sparring Chantel Cameron down in Northampton, which isn't that far from me. And I was like, if you're in the area, I'd love to get some sparring with you. And then the reply was, I think she then went to Wales or something like that. And it just never happened. So when I found out that she was in the UK for this fight coming up, and that she was sparring with training with Mark Tibbs, I jumped on it straight away because my coach Paul Day, he used to train with Jimmy and Mark himself as a pro when he was younger, and I just thought, what a great connection. Ebanie's there, it would be good for him to catch up with his trainers. And anyway, he followed that one up straight away, got on the phone, and we fixed it immediately. Great spar the first time round. I hope to think that they were quite pleased with what I brought to the table and how I could potentially help her. And they offered me back immediately, straight away. And then it's kind of just escalated from there. So I think we did about 6-7 weeks of sparring. Sometimes I see her twice a week, sometimes only the once because she was mixing it in with other people. But it's been an absolute amazing experience. I'm so grateful to have met her. You don't really come across people like her, because it's a very dog-eat-dog world and everybody's out there for themselves. And I just get that feeling from her that she's out there wanting to help others if they're willing to listen and take it on board. And like I said in the interview yesterday, she is like the big sister of boxing in a way, and she can really teach you a lot if you're willing to listen, because she's done so well. But the sparring's been great. Had some really, really good rounds. We've been sparring 8 to 10 rounds each time we've met. Our styles very much gel together, so has created a very exciting spar. She's mentioned as well that I have a similar style to her opponent, Cecilia Roman, which is great. So the fact that I hold those qualities and I've been able to help her out, I'm just very grateful for the opportunities, and the fact that they've wanted to revisit the spar and keep me involved has been great. It's just funny as well because we'll go crazy for 10 rounds and get out with blooded nose or big fat lips or whatever, and it's just at the end of it you shake hands, you hug it out, respect, and we get on, and she's she's there to praise me, I'll praise her, and it's just been a really, really good relationship and a time in my boxing career that I've actually fully enjoyed. It's been great. Real good confidence builder as well for me. So
Sounds amazing. That's the experience.
It has been good, and I do thank her for a lot. I'm there. I'll big her up, and I've got only positive things to say about her. But equally, she's really helped me a lot, even from a confidence point of view as well. I was just training my client then. I was talking about the weekend that I've just had, and I was saying, like, if I went back, say 3 years ago, even sitting here doing this interview with you, like, I would have completely melted, so full of nerves and all sorts. But do you know what? She's really, being around her and soaking all that energy up and learning from her, it's really given me that little confidence boost that I need. So yeah, I do have to thank her for a lot. She's been great. Yeah.
And can I just get a prediction for a fight on Saturday? What do you think's going to happen?
Oh, so I was quite bold with my prediction yesterday in some of the interviews that I did, but she's got a very, very tough fight. She knows she's got a tough fight. Cecilia Roman is, a reigning champion, and she's definitely not going to be giving that belt away easy. But I have been in there, shared the ring with Ebanie. I know what she's about. I know she's strong. She's tough, resilient. She comes forward, and I think if she gets stuck in with that educated pressure that she's good at doing, with a little bit more thought process behind it that she's been doing and working on with Mark, I do actually see. I actually think she could stop her. That's quite bold, but and I could be completely wrong. But yeah, if she catches her right and she flusters her, makes her uncomfortable, which I know she's capable of doing, yeah, it could be I think it could be an early night. But if not, and it goes the whole way, I do still see her winning it. And if anything, it's going to be a very, very exciting fight. I think both styles will gel well together. Yeah, and one, I don't think no one should be missing it. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. And obviously, how do you see your style? What many people don't know about you. How did you say your style is as a fighter?
Yeah, so myself, I think how I like to explain it and how my coaches and stuff explain me is like boxer fighter style. So I can sit, I can box well, I can pick my shots off. But equally, a little bit like Ebanie, which is probably why we did well in the sparring, is equally as well. If you bring the heat, like, I will literally stand, trade with you, and I'll have a fight too. So I'm not afraid of doing both. And obviously within the ring, and you don't know what's going to happen on the night, and you're going to get into all sorts of different situations. So yeah, I feel like I've got a good all-rounder where I can sort of adapt there and then, depending on what's happening at the time. So yeah, I'd say boxer fighter style. Yeah.
And going from your last training camp to this training camp, do you think you've made any adjustments or any improvements?
I think I'm improving all the time, to be honest. I've got great coaches who are both extremely knowledgeable. I think one aspect of it is my strength and my conditioning side of things is improved tenfold. Like when I look over the past years and how I've adapted, how my body's changed. That's one thing that I've really improved on. I'm doing a lot more sort of intense sort of pad work, drill work, with Paul Day. My strength conditioning coach is Paul Webber. So that's been good to really get into that. And also as well, like, I think mindset. Before I used to maybe like doubt myself quite a bit. Whereas now I just I try and block that out. Like, I might have a few little doubts crop in, but then I'm like, no, I'm quicker at bypassing it and saying, no, that's no good for me. But I think that's just generally how I've built myself up over the past few years, having a bit of time out because of COVID. I took a lot of pressure off of myself. Yeah, and it's just allowed me to really recognise my capabilities. So yeah, I think with each camp I'm always improving, and I feel like now I can voice what I think's good for me. So if I think something's not working, I can be like, guys, I'm not happy with that, or can we work on that? Like, I've seen so and so do that. Like, can we try and do a little bit of that in the technical side of things? And we're sort of gelling really well as a team, and yeah, just trying to bring out the best in me, really. And just, yeah, it's all my learning, and yeah, it's all coming together.
Yeah, and do you watch other fighters where like you can learn off them as well, like on YouTube and things like that?
Yeah, do you know what? Because I'm so in the gym, like my job is in the gym, being PT. Obviously, I'm training twice a day, 6 days a week. Sometimes in terms of sitting back in my free time and watching boxing, I don't always do it, if I'm honest. Now and again I do, or if someone says, oh, you've got to watch this fight, watch it, I will. A lot of the time I'll see small clippets on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, wow, I love that. Or, I follow the likes of Canelo and stuff, so I take little tips and tricks off of those and try and implement it in my own training. Do I sit down and study boxing? Probably not, but only if I'm sort of like told to say, oh, you should take some tips from this one or that one, then I will. But yeah, I'm so consumed by my own career and my business outside of it that yeah, I just take tips as and when I can, really. But yeah, I'm always learning. I do love tuning in. I love, like, in terms of female boxing, I love Chantel Cameron. I think her style is absolutely brilliant. Katie Taylor, can always learn from her. Yeah, and you know, there's so many out there to name them all. But you can take little elements from each boxer that you watch, and yeah, I think I've along the way I've taken bits, and yeah. But initially, I've got my own style, you know.
Yeah. And just mention Katie Taylor. The day after you fight, a mega women's fight, her and Amanda Serrano. What's your prediction on that fight?
Yeah, cracking fight, history-making fight, isn't it? I'm sitting on the fence a little bit with this one. Like, I'm a massive Katie Taylor fan, always have been. I love her style, you know, and I'm always backing her. But equally, I think this, as everybody knows, is Katie's biggest test today. And I don't like to say it, and maybe it's because she wasn't pushed majorly in her last couple of bouts, but I feel like I've not seen the best Katie, like, prior to this. So I don't know, going forward, maybe my mindset's a little bit different. I'm a little bit unsure. But I think literally it could go either way. I'll be backing Katie, and I really, really hope she wins. And I think, do you know what? She always rises to the challenge. The harder it is, the better she performs. So, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go Katie, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the other way.
Yeah, it's a really tough fight.
Tough one. I don't know.
And do you think Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall will end up happening? And who do you see winning if that happens?
Ooh, yeah, it's been spoken about a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What happened with that, though? Because wasn't Savannah supposed to win her last fight, and then that was going to be the next fight? I don't know if that's been.
She's got a fight lined up. I'm not 100% sure on the date, but she's got a fight lined up next, and then if she wins that the fight's on in the summertime, I think.
Okay, yeah. Do you know what? That's one of the fights that I'm really, really excited about. I think just because of the needle, you know, that's been involved with that fight, and the head-to-head and all of this, and you know, yeah. So exciting fight. I'm gonna go with Savannah on that one, purely because of her style and the way she boxes and can pick her off. But I think if she lets Clarissa sort of spoil her work, it could make it messy. I love both fighters. I think they're both great. Both their styles are fantastic and people that I look up to. But I think I'm going to go Savannah on that one. Yeah. But I do hope it happens, and soon, because that one needs to be put to bed, I think.
Yeah, it's massive for women's boxing. 2 mega fights there.
Yes, definitely.
Just going back to you a little bit, like on fight night, how do you cope with the nerves before you fight?
How do I cope? Oh, tough question. I don't know, really. I just like to be busy, I think, and just around good people. I try to keep myself as relaxed as possible. Sometimes I'll take myself off on my own and just get in my own head and just have a little word with myself, and you know. But yeah, nerves can be quite a big thing for me. I think my last fight, if I'm honest, I did struggle quite badly with the nerves because it had been 2 years out the ring. You know, I'd signed with a new manager, Steve Goodwin. Shortly after signing with him, he'd sorted out this promotional deal with Unified Promotions, who then said, you know, it's going to all be televised. So with all that pressure on my shoulders, and you know, being that shy kid years ago, it was kind of like, oh, you know, it's a big step coming back after 2 years out the ring, and you're on TV and all this. It seems really big for me, but do you know what? I think one thing I've learned is that I get really nervous, but without them, it's no good. Like, you genuinely do need it. That, you know, you need that adrenaline to fire you up and keep you sharp. And yeah, I've really noticed that. And I noticed it in my last fight as well. And I don't know if you see it, but cracking knockout, second round, literally spun the girl off the feet. And yeah, it's, how do I deal with it? I don't know. I just try and keep as calm as I can. I've not got no rituals or anything like that I do. just be around people and just try to just keep as calm as I can, really, and just have faith in the fact that I know that I've trained hard. I think that's also why I get really nervous, because I know the work that I've put in behind the scenes. It's not been easy, it's so tough, and I'm telling myself, please pay off. This has to pay off because you've worked so hard, and I'd be so disappointed if it didn't. So I'm not even necessarily nervous about the opponent or who I'm stepping in with. It's more about letting myself down. But again, it's just trusting the process, trusting my coaches, and knowing what I've done and that it's all going to pay off. And it paid off in my last fight.
Yeah. And when you've got a fight and you know what you're fighting, do you have a vision in your mind when you're training how the fight's going to go?
So as soon as I get that opponent come through, the first thing, like many other fighters, is straight on YouTube. Let's have a little look what they're about. Normally my manager will know a bit about them, and they'll be able to tell me what their style's like or how they box. So yeah, I sort of study it and just work in the gym on how we're gonna overcome that and come up with little game plans. And just visualize the outcome. Really, I think that was a big thing for my last fight. It's just like, in the lead up to it, visualizing how I expected it to go. And I'm honest to God, I don't normally say it, but I actually visualized, because I've never done it before, but I visualized knocking this girl out in the last fight, and it happened. So I was like, whoa, that's quite a big thing. So visualization going forward and just believing. That's pretty much it.
Well, that's what they say. If you believe it, you can achieve it. So I suppose that's, yeah.
It all helps. You've got to believe in yourself, even when nobody else does. Just believe what you're capable of, and I do put the work in. I am confident in saying that, I work very, very hard, and it's just believe what you're capable of.
Yeah. Well, listen, Lauren, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Finally got to fix the timing, didn't we? Because it was like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? No, I can't. So yeah, it's good to fix it eventually. But yeah, anytime, I'm more than happy to come on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and good luck in your next fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing you fight soon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.